Hey YouTube, how you doing? Big E here, how's everything? And welcome to another movie review. Today's movie review I'm going to be reviewing is a movie that I really enjoy. It's scary, but other than that, it's enjoyable. And I without a doubt enjoy this film. If you like old classic horror films, especially late 80s and early 90s horror films like I do, you'll love this one I'm reviewing today. Today I'm going to be reviewing, you will love this film, The Lost Boys. Yep, The Lost Boys was released in the summer of 1987, and it's directed by Joel Schumacher, who's directed other films like Batman Forever with Val Kilmer, and Batman and Robin with George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell, which I have no use for, but may Joel Schumacher rest in peace. I think Joel Schumacher did a pretty good job directing this film, and Richard Donner produced this film as well, and he did a fantastic job in this. They all did. And the actors did very good in this film. The plot of this film takes place with two teenage boys, Michael Emerson, played by Jason Patric, and Sam Emerson, played by Corey Haim, move with their mother, Lucy, played by Dianne Wiest, to a small town in Northern California called Santa Carla, Santa Carla, yeah. Only to discover that it's a town. The town is a haven for vampires. This film was mostly filmed in Santa Cruz, California. Yep, and the Emerson brothers, they moved in with, and Lucy, they moved in with Lucy's father, which is the boy Sam and Michael's grandfather, played by Barnard Hughes. Also in this movie, he's an Angus-ridden person. He falls for a beautiful woman named Star, played by Jami Gertz, who we all know from the Twister movie, and she turned out to be enthralled of a local gang of vampires, with David, played by Kiefer Sutherland, and a bunch of other vampires like Marco, who we all know, played by Alex Winter from the Bill and Ted film series, and Dwayne, played by Billy Wirth, and Paul, played by Brooke McCarter. And this gang of vampires are motorcycle bike riders too, and they are portrayed as dangerous, stylish, and alluring group that lures new residents into their world in the fictional town of Santa Carla. However, it is discovered in this film that Sam, played by Corey Haim, is a comic book lover, and he majority of the time likes superheroes like Batman and Superman. He don't like horror comics until he meets new friends, aka the Frog Brothers, Edgar and Alan. Edgar was played by Corey Feldman, and Alan was played by Jamison Newlander. However, the horror comic book that the Frog Brothers showed Sam about vampires turned out kind of be real, and it really actually happened, especially when it all started, when Michael was kind of starting to turn into a vampire, half human, just like Star and the little kid she was with named Laddie right there, played by Chance Michael Corbitt. And it's kind of all started when the vampire gang took Michael to their lair, and he eventually drinks some blood from a glass or something. Eventually Sam reads his comic book that the Frog Brothers told him that they had to find the head vampire, and then the Frog Brothers told him they had to find the head vampire, and they kill all the vampires eventually. But turned out they didn't get the head vampire. Turns out the guy who Lucy was seeing, named Max, played by Herrmann, was the guy she was dating, and gives her a job to support Michael and Sam. And then when Max sees all the bodies of the vampires, he is revealed to be the head vampire, and he tried to make Lucy the mother of the vampires. She refused. And that's when, he look, Edward Herrmann's character looked kind of scary, and this is when he revealed he was the head vampire. And then Grandpa drove his pickup truck through a wall, went stopping Max, killing Max with a large wooden fence post, stabbed him like right through here. That's kind of dark, scary, especially a movie like that. And it caused him to explode. And after Max died, Michael, Star, and Laddie, they were turned into vampires, kind of like, but they returned to normal after they were turned into zombies / vampires. And then Grandpa quips one thing about, he says, one thing about living in Santa Carla, I could never stomach all the damn vampires. Yeah. I give this film 5 out of 5 stars. I think it's a very fantastic movie. And also I mentioned the two best friend stars, two best friends in real life, Corey Feldman and Corey Haim. They were best friends in real life, aka they were the two Coreys. And also I mentioned that Corey Feldman and Corey Haim starred in a lot of movies in the 80s and early 90s. They were both 80s teens heartthrobs. And especially Corey Haim, and I'm sorry he's no longer with us. May he rest in peace. And may his legacy live on. And also I mentioned Kiefer Sutherland was in this. He also worked with Corey Feldman in another film called Stand By Me, which was released back in 1986. I reviewed that not too long ago. And all the actors in this film, they did pretty good. I think Dianne Wiest did a pretty good job. Edward Herrmann did a pretty good job. Jason Patric did a pretty good job. Corey Haim and Corey Feldman did a pretty good job. They all did. Also, I love the special effects of this movie. I even love the classic rock and heavy metal songs that were playing in music that were playing in this movie. I even loved the music. The music was very good and everything, and the makeup jobs were very good as well. And the title is a reference to the Lost Boys in J.M. Barrie's stories about Peter Pan and Neverland, who like vampires, but they never grow up. Yeah. Also, this movie also has a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb, a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 3.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and 86% of Google users like this film. I know I'm one of them. And Karen James of the New York Times says it's a hip comic twist on classic vampire stories. That is true. And this film had a budget of $8.5 million. And it made $32.5 million at the box office. And it was so cool and everything. Even the the casting and everything. And if I'm recommending, if you've never seen The Lost Boys before, you're missing out. I recommend you go check out The Lost Boys. You'll like it as much as I did. Yep. Alright, YouTube. Nice seeing you. Take it easy, be safe, and stay out of trouble. Peace.